Angry guy here, and Alyssa Milano, stop. Hashtag, it's time to move on. Mm. I want to just say thank you to these patrons right here, and of course, special thanks to these patrons: Mickey Turner, Sharky, GNU, Link Neurons, Autonomy Royal 2.5, B Bax, Brian A. Pierre Martel, David Herrera, Deadlust, F8 Crusader, Gabriel Prince, School Monster, Hans the Iceberg, 88, John Charles Clark Jr., Levi, Joshua Flores, Levi Abram, Nature Monk, Raymond Zuniga, Red Pill Blue Mage, St. Everett, CPO Americana, Scott Venman, Thomas Danielle, Timothy Bruce Leosa, David Strong, Tim Myers, Daniel Diatley, and Sam Raven. You guys are amazing, and thank you for your continued support. So, today our topic is, well, it's directed at Alyssa Milano. Alyssa Milano, stop. It's time to move on. And some of you will immediately know what I'm talking about. But for those of you that don't know, Alyssa Milano recently posted on Twitter stating that women should go on a strike. And basically, they should not have intimate relationships with men until new laws that have been passed prohibiting uh, termination of pregnancy have been rescinded. And it's like from one thing to another, everything has literally become overly politicized. And you have to say, well, where are we going from this point? You know, you look at Hollywood today, and it's pretty easy to just look at it and realize that all the people that have really been benefiting from things like hashtag Me Too are all very wealthy people. Okay? And it's funny because the average woman hasn't really benefited from this. If anything, the average woman has lost a lot of job opportunities. And then it's so interesting because all women are now being ushered under this brand of groupthink. And the irony is that you're not even hearing the opinions of other women, you're just hearing the opinions of a specific group that says, okay, well, we represent them. You look at what's happening in the economy right now, and I wonder, as we're heading into a global economic collapse, is Alyssa Milano going to open up her home to women who need a place to stay? Is Alyssa Milano going to open up her bank account to women who can't buy food? Is Alyssa Milano going to put her money where her mouth is? You see, all of this is just, and this is what I'm seeing, designed to draw attention to her, okay? And to put money in her pocket and to keep funneling money, attention, job opportunities at her. Okay? That's really what it would appear to be. And it's funny because after all these changes, after all these new laws, the hashtag Me Too laws, and all these other things that have been happening, you would think that you would hear women say, oh, well, we've made some success. But every day, it just seems to get worse. Think about it. You don't hear about anything positive. It's always just one negative thing after another. And it's sad because right now, when you look at how millennials are responding to this environment, millennials aren't raising children. Millennials are raising pets, specifically dogs. They are completely foregoing becoming parents and raising pets instead. There's going to be major socioeconomic implications on society as a result of the millennial generation, which is now the largest generation, not contributing to the economy. And when I say not contributing, I don't mean just being underemployed. I mean not forming families, not forming households. Okay? These are specific things that actually drive the economy. And as millennials aren't doing these things, the economy is going to continue to decline. And as millennials are getting older, the expenses are going to increase. Okay? Because the millennials are going to start needing more health care, more regular screenings, all of these things. But there will be less money coming in. It's a pretty bizarre situation that we find ourselves in. And then all the while, you have Alyssa Milano, as well as others, coming up with these things that I literally have to characterize as ridiculous. As ridiculous, okay? I don't know. I think it's absolutely crazy. And the funny thing is that if you look at the articles that are being published right now about Alyssa Milano's intimacy strike, it's hilarious because you can like literally just put one article next to another article, okay? And you'll see something pretty interesting. For example, let's look at this article right here. This one's actually from CNN, and it's written by Alyssa Milano, okay? And it's why the time is now for a hashtag sex strike, written by Alyssa Milano and Walisa Wilson. This article came out on May 13th. But here's where things get really, really interesting. If you jump over to the article right next to it, okay, here's another article written by Peggy Drexler, also on CNN, and it's titled, Alyssa Milano's sex strike is misguided. Here's what actually might work. Okay? I have to say that this is absolutely just ridiculous. Actress Alyssa Milano has become one of the Me Too movement's most powerful celebrity mouthpieces, inspiring thousands of women to come forward with their stories. Last week, though, in calling for an intimacy strike to protest anti-pregnancy termination laws, she may have missed the mark by a long shot. Our reproductive rights are being erased, she tweeted Friday. Until women have legal control over our own bodies, we just cannot risk pregnancy. Join me by not having intimate relationships until we get bodily autonomy back. Milano posted the missive a few days after Georgia Governor Brian Kemp signed the heartbeat bill, one of the most restrictive anti-pregnancy termination laws in the nation. The legislation makes it illegal to terminate a pregnancy after a heartbeat has been detected in the womb or about 6 weeks, which is before many women realize that they're even pregnant. The Georgia law is a blow for sure, but Milano's message, though attention-grabbing, was a misguided one. As far from feminist, in fact, it largely served to reinforce the idea that women's power lied primarily in their willingness to trade intimacy, and that abstinence is the way to get the power back. Think about it. It's calling for an intimacy strike as a way to regain bodily autonomy. As she put it, Milano was implying that women pretty much only have intimacy available to please men for babies. There's no acknowledgement that women might have intimacy or intimate relationships with men for their own pleasure. Calling for an intimacy strike also suggests that women can and should bribe men with intimacy, effectively reinforcing an age-old stereotype which feminism has worked to debunk, that all women have to offer is intimacy. She later tweeted, "Protect your genitals, ladies. Men in positions of power are trying to legislate them, but an intimacy strike to protest the men in positions of power excludes LGBT among other people entirely. Or is it okay in Milano's view to have intimacy, have an intimate relationship with a partner who can't impregnate her? And what if you actually want to get pregnant? Lastly, it implies that she thinks men, all men, are the problem, when in fact many measures to restrict abortion into to restrict pregnancy termination and birth control are backed by women. Meanwhile, plenty of men work hard to protect women's rights. Pitting men against women is too easy and more divisive than is accurate or necessary. Taking a stand against restrictions on women's reproductive or any other right is important, but calling for everyone to do so in this way misses the point and risks alienating more people than unites. There are other ways to protest the Georgia law, including donating to Planned Parenthood or another organization working to protect women's rights, calling your representatives and voting, which too many people do not do. Instead of withholding intimacy from the men in your lives and from yourself, try talking to them about what's at stake for women and why it matters to them too. History shows us that an intimacy strike is surprisingly effective, Milano tweeted Saturday, doubling down on her call. But you know what else is effective? Communication. So it's interesting because even now you have women who are trying to distance themselves from a lot of these radical takes that are being attempted right now. And I'm not surprised that, as I said, as we're entering into a global economic collapse, women are going to be the ones most affected by this. And there's ill preparation done. The notion that the government is going to provide for women in a time when resources are scant is insane. To be very honest, the government doesn't really provide any. When it comes to if someone becomes homeless, okay, understand that unless you get into what we would call a Section 8 housing, it's going to be very difficult for you to find somewhere to live. You're going to end up trying to get into a shelter that is run by a private entity. So there are shelters that are run by private groups, and they also receive kickbacks from the government, I would assume. The problem is that when we enter a major economic collapse, all of these places are going to be jam-packed. If you look right now, many of these places are already full. Yes, you heard me right. To get into these shelters, there's usually long waiting lists. You can go to a lot of shelters right now, and there are long waiting lists to get into these shelters. You'd be better off finding a job. You'd be better off looking for a job and getting a place than you would be trying to get into a shelter. I just see this whole thing with Alyssa Milano as totally misguided, and it's just insane that as we are entering this economic period, you have people like her that are still pushing for division in society. I don't know. As I said, me personally, I think it's time for her to stop. I think it's time for people like this in general to stop, to take a chill pill, and realize that what they're doing is not helping anyone. However, I'm realizing more and more though that again they're not doing it for people, they're doing it for themselves to keep themselves relevant. Guys, don't forget one of the best ways to protect yourself against the economic collapse is by investing in cryptocurrency. Right now, we are in a bull market, and I want to remind you all to go and check out the How to Choose / Invest in Altcoins that will increase by 10 times to 100 times or more course, along with the other courses on cryptomoney.academy. This course is really, really intensive. It has tons of information, and I teach you all the methods that I use to evaluate coins that are going to increase by 10 times to 100 times or more. There's a correlation between fiat currency. When fiat goes down, crypto goes up. You're going to be able to invest in crap coins invest $100 in the crap coins, and that 100 will turn into 10,000. You're gonna be able to invest $10 and turn that into $1,000 just by knowing how to evaluate which coins are going to increase by 10 times to 100 times or more. So this course is going to teach you everything you need to know. CryptoMoney.academy. You can find it there. It's only $199.99 right now. It will be going up to $299 next month. So definitely pick up the course while you still can at this early pricing. As I said, guys, no one is going to sit around waiting for you. No one is going to give you anything in this world. You have to go and get it for yourself. And this notion that Alyssa Milano is basically saying that women need to basically, go on strike. It's funny because when women went on so-called strike the last time, and they all went to those large women's meetups, to protest when President Trump got elected, they were mostly ineffective. Pretty much, the world kept on trucking along. If you look at things like the Million Man March that happened many years ago, I don't even remember. Maybe it was in the '90s. I don't remember when it happened, or the early 2000s. It was the Million Man March. I think it was when a lot of African American, Black Americans got together in Washington, and it again. You look at how effective it has been since then, and things have only gotten worse. There's only been more political unrest, more division in society. These things don't work. It's when people stop arguing and stop talking about these things and actually focus on getting things done, taking control of their own lives and making changes within their own lives, using their own two hands. Put your faith in God, not in the government. That's when things really make a change. That's when things really begin to happen. So I'm hopeful that these political movements continue to dissipate and die off. But that's just me. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you agree that Alyssa Milano needs to stop. Hashtag it's time to move on. You can find a link to purchase the course if you want to purchase a course from CryptoMoney.academy in the link of the video. Love God, get money, and cheers.